What's up, guys? Got another episode of the Sports Brotherhood coming to you. Got Isaac and Richie. We're going to be talking game two. Another big win by the Warriors. It is not looking good for the Cavs. 132-113 game two win for the Warriors. We're up 2-0 last year in the same position, but this is not last year. So, Isaac, what do you think about that game? We got another big blowout win. It doesn't look good for the Cavs.
I thought it was pretty incredible when you saw like Steph get to the line as many times as he did. I mean, we're starting to see, a point in this league where you can get, fouled behind the 3-point line and shoot free throws unlike anything before. I mean, Steph knew that Richard Jefferson was coming to him. He picks up his dribble, takes that one step. Richard comes over, slaps him, and he just takes another step and just throws it up. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, if you're giving Stephen Curry 15 free throws in a game or 14 free throws in a game, you're cooked. And you watch this team roll, and you watch them on defense. And Cleveland was fantastic in the first half in terms of offensively. But if you take a moment to hold your breath or just to catch your breath, this team will beat you, and they'll beat you badly. And you have to play a perfect game just to beat them. We saw Kevin Love step up. We saw LeBron James have first half double-double. He had like 10 assists in the first half, and he kind of took his foot off in the second half, but we'll talk about that later. But Kyrie's got to be there, man. And if he isn't rolling, and if he isn't matching Steph Curry's production, he has to be an impact, and they have to slow this game down too, because the pace is too fast, and the Cavs are just way too old. And all you're looking at this team as is, this is what LeBron was talking about when he said, I need some playmakers, because he knew what was coming down the pipe. And now we're seeing that to fruition. People are like, well, but they have Darren Williams and, they have Kyle Korver. These are just names at this point in their careers. Richard Jefferson. These are just names of guys who were once, great NBA players, but now they're just shells of themselves. And you're seeing a younger team. You're seeing a more efficient team. You're seeing a smarter team. And the score indicates that.
Yeah, they don't have the horses. I mean, obviously it's been talked about ad nauseum. You add Kevin Durant to the team last year, the 173 games. I mean, we're witnessing greatness, and it's not something that
absurd.
One thing that doesn't get talked about enough is we all know how good the players are, but they fit a collective system, and both offense and the defensive end. And that's one thing that really doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Is there's been, I mean, even when LeBron went down to Miami, they didn't win the finals the first year or anything like that. And granted, I do want to say it's not like the Warriors have won anything yet, but there's no basketball related instance that you can point to and be like, yeah, the Cavs have a chance. Like, it's just the offensive system that Golden State runs, with the movement, with the variations from all their sets, with the shooters, with the length, with the ability to finish,
flexibility of the roster,
passing, just everybody can do different things. I mean, it's just, there's been other teams that maybe haven't had this amount of talent, but I mean, this isn't. People act like this is the first super team. Like, people have been making super teams. I mean, you look at the Showtime Lakers. Come on, that's super team. Like,
I mean,
Magic, Kareem, Worthy, Byron Scott. Like, there's been super teams for the history of the NBA. But if we're talking metrics with, I know the ELO rating. I mean, stats are always, you can find faults in that. But I mean, we are watching the best team of all time, and they do it on the offensive end, which we all know about, but they do it on the defensive end just the same. So Kevin Durant gets you 33 points. Oh, by the way, he's going to get you 13 boards and 5 blocks. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, I said 4-1 before the season, or before the series, and it might even be a sweep. So, but just going back to the defense with Kevin Durant, he had the 13 blocks, the 5 rebounds. Everybody always assumes that, LeBron James is the best player in the world. Steph Curry kind of had that last year. But I don't know that it's blasphemous to suggest that Kevin Durant might be the best player, just given his actual impact that you had mentioned before we had started this.
I mean, did Steph Curry have more rebounds tonight than Tristan Thompson?
I'd say there's a very high probability that Steph had 10 or 11, and I don't think Tristan had more than 6. Or no, he's had 8 through 2 games. So yeah, absolutely. He had more tonight than Tristan's had all series.
Holy crap. I mean, you're seeing the difference between Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving. I mean, you're seeing a more well-rounded star. And people, like to say things like, well, if Steph Curry's three-point jumper isn't falling, what else can he do for you? You saw it tonight. You saw a guy who, I mean, he was really sloppy with the ball. Let's not get it twisted. But you saw a guy who could still move his feet on defense, and still, even if he doesn't have the physical tools, he still gives it, the effort that's required to become a champion. You got to see the rebounds, the assists, the sheer threat of him even being on the court. But with Kyrie Irving, now let's switch that around, that same line of thinking where you say, well, if he's not doing this, what else does he do for you? If Kyrie isn't making points, what is he doing for you?
You know what the Steph's game tonight reminded me of? And this is going to sound weird coming from me. It reminded me of a James Harden game. So he had the triple-double. He had a lot of turnovers. He didn't shoot all that well, but you look at the box score and you're like, oh, my God. Like, he had a triple-double. They said it was the first time or the second time in playoff history they've had 2 players get a triple-double on opposing teams, first time in finals history. But I still feel like he hit some big shots. But it was more the turnovers were really bad, and he beats himself up on that. I listened to the presser, and he knew it. But I'm checking out his field goal percentage. So 7-17, that's not bad. That's probably low 40s, 4 of 11 from deep, maybe 35%. So I mean, he's shooting below his standards with the turnovers, but he got it done in other areas. He still dropped 32 points, and like you said with Kyrie. He had
8 for 23, or was it? Yeah, 8 for 23.
At least Kyrie had 7 assists this game, but yep, 8 for 23, 2-6 from deep. It's crazy. Not to just go back on what we already talked about, but it's just the stark contrast in offensive systems between Cleveland and Golden State, both offensively and defensively. It's crazy. It really is.
It's insane. If they don't, I mean, they need to take the approach that they took, even when they had less, because they have less talent now, but, they've always had less talent in terms of, overall roster. But if they don't take that same approach that we have to value every single possession, we have to slow this game down and if we do push it, we have to be very selective in the shot that we take in that instance. Because if you, push it up and you get a quick 3 off of Kyle Korver, I mean, that ball is coming right back down the other way, bro. And with that defensive personnel that they currently have in Cleveland, they don't have a chance. Okay, like you can't play the 27th, best defense in the league or 27th worst defense, however you want to look at that, since the All-Star break, and then say we're gonna beat Golden State Warriors. Like, that's not happening.
And didn't it look like early on? Well, actually, not even early on. Seemed like most of the game they were trying to play a shootout style game with Golden State, which just kind of seemed crazy. I mean, it was didn't Golden State almost crack 100 in the third quarter?
I think they did, but because they had 35 in the third, but they also had 40 in the first. You can't give up these 40-point, 35-point quarters and then say, yeah, we're gonna beat Golden State. I mean, I've already said this before. But they're going to keep scoring. Like, so if you have one bad 2 to 5 minute stretch, you're going to find yourself down by at least 5 to 10 points. And I'm not sure if you can come back against Steph Curry and Kevin Durant being down 5 to 10 points or giving up 5 to 10 points when they're sitting on the bench. I mean, there was a clip where, Steph was laying down with a towel over his head, just relaxing with both hands behind it, like he was at a spa or something. Like if LeBron James could do that for 5 minutes in a quarter, he'd probably even have better numbers than what he had tonight, and his numbers tonight were flawless, basically. But You get up to 32 years old. You played more minutes than Michael Jordan. You played, over 50,000 minutes. You're in your 42nd finals game alone. Like, think about that. We're not even talking about the games that it took to get him there, but his 42nd finals game at 32 years old. I don't care how much, money, because I saw something that said he puts $1.5 million into his body every year. And I was like, Father Time's undefeated, bro. I don't care how much money you put into your body. When you've got to guard Kevin Durant, which they still don't have an answer for, clearly don't have an answer for. I don't care if it's LeBron, Richard Jefferson. They might have to do something that I don't want to see them do, and that's just simply double Kevin Durant.
I mean, I don't think it matters. I mean, I just, listening to the Cavs in the press game conferences, I think they know it too. They'll never admit it, but you just listen to them talk, and it's not something to where they are like, usually you get your ass beat by 20. You're kind of like, you come back with like this fire. I think they just, I mean, I'm not suggesting that they're going to lay down. I said before the series, I think 4-1. I think that there's a chance Golden State loses game 3 just due to the energy and the respect I have for LeBron. But I think they all know. Like, I mean, if Golden State, even when they're playing their C game, they're still probably going to win. So being up 2-0, I put this out on Facebook last year and it bit me in the ass, but I'm going to say it again. There's no way Cleveland's winning 4 of the next 5. I mean, it's just there's no logical basketball explanation, which honestly is how I feel about anybody who picked Cleveland before the series. There's no basketball explanation that suggests, hey, they're going to win 4 of the next 5, or that they were even, going to win the series in general just due to, everything we just talked about. So I guess really what it comes down to, do you think it's going to be a sweep, or do you think it's going to go a couple extra games?
Something tells me that, Stephen Curry will be enjoying the sweet taste of champagne in Cleveland's locker room again.
Yeah, yeah, everything says sweep, and it was, like we said last year. Actually, showed a graphic on SportsCenter after the game, and I want to say this was the 4th highest scoring differential in the first 2 finals games, and guess what first place was? Last year. So, but again, I mean, we've said it. This isn't last year. I said 4-1 just out of respect, but man, it really, if they go 4-4, 4-4, they're the best team in NBA history, bar none.
And against LeBron James.
Against LeBron James. So, all right, so we got 2 sweeps. Probably, yeah, I'm going with that. I'm going to say sweep, even though I predicted 4-1. I don't see it. So
head said 5, heart said 6, but it says 4. Like,
in my heart says 5. Yep, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
I feel so bad too, because now people are like, "Oh, LeBron James 3-5." Blah, blah. It doesn't matter, bro. You put on this Cavaliers team, they're still gonna get swept, bro.
It's just greatness on every. This is basketball utopia. If you don't hate the Warriors for them creating this team, well, first off, you should hate the CBA for allowing it. But you look at the coach, you look at the offense, the defense, the players, how everything fits. Everybody has a role. Everybody checks their egos. They pass, they defend. It's basketball utopia, and I just wish people, instead of hating on it, would just appreciate it. But I get it. I get it.
It's the purest form of basketball that we've ever seen. I already told you about this, but we'll go ahead and say it on the pod here too. I had a guy attack me basically in game 1 when I was at the bar. I was like cheering whenever Steph Curry would do something, or whenever Kevin Durant would do something. He was like, are you from California? And I was like, are you from Cleveland? He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, but it's closer. Like, that makes a difference. Like, if I was like, so should I be a Timberwolves fan? And he was like, no, because they're not in the finals. I was like, so I'm supposed to root for the team that I live closest by, just because they're in the finals. Like, no, I can root for a team or simply marvel at a team, starry-eyed, just simply because of the particular brand of basketball that they happen to play. And it's some of the most beautiful stuff that I've ever seen in my life.
Agreed. Very well put and agreed. Well, we'll wrap this one up. We'll come back after game 3. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better of a game, but I don't know. We'll see. It's not looking good. But all right, well, as always, like, subscribe, comment, let us know, and we'll see you guys next time.